Here we go. It's been a while, Kratzy. It's been like, geez, what's the date today? 21st. It's been like a week since I've been on. You definitely don't look like you're in your basement. You might be in your other basement. So tell me where you're at, and welcome to Foul Territory.
I mean, OCNJ. I got Ocean City, New Jersey. Walk on the boardwalk, get a little time with the family. But I feel like you, AJ. I'm traveling like crazy right now. So I was up at Staten Island this past weekend. OC, Milwaukee later. Whew, my best AJ Pierzynski impression.
Well, the difference is you get to drive everywhere. I get to fly. Like when I have a 3:30 a.m. pickup this morning in Cary, North Carolina, to get to the airport to get here to host, because it's players only this entire week. Yesterday, I know Trisha, so thank you to Trisha for hosting yesterday, but this week is going to be me. So I hope if you guys are sick of me, then too bad. You're going to have to suck it up, Buttercup. But I mean, Kratzy, I was in Cary, North Carolina. I spent the last week with USA Baseball, helping them to pick the the USA under-18 team, which is going to travel to the Dominican Republic in a couple months. Brian Schneider is the manager. I'm sure you know him. Luke Gregerson is the pitching coach. Tim Raines Jr. is a coach, and then Doug Minkiewicz is another coach. And there's about 12 of us that helped pick. They split them in these kids into 4 teams. It was me, Chris Johnson, Matt Guerrero on the gray team, 4-0. You know it. Shout out, gray team. Love you guys. Then it was Ryan Zimmerman, Ian Desmond, Joe Smith. Who was the other one? It was Rick Ankiel and Will Harris. And then RJ, I don't know his last name. He's a coach at Orange Lutheran in California. And then the light blue was Brad Wilkerson, Jamie Carroll, and Sam Freeman. So it was an awesome week. Let me explain. Like, you go to this, and I went in blind. The only person I had ever heard of was Dylan Seward, who, when we had JJ Cooper from Hot Sheet on, he said it was going to be 1-1 next year. So I had him on my team, and he was the only one I had ever heard of or seen or knew anything about. Kratz, you realize how talented these kids are? I mean, every kid was 95 to 98 off the mound.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I've done the combine. I've done the All-American game with you. I'm trying to think if I did another USA type of sanctioned baseball. I'm just flabbergasted. And you live in Florida, so you see really good high school baseball. I'm flabbergasted at the talent. I'm flabbergasted at the fact that there's been kids this good even when I was playing in high school, and thank God I didn't know it, because the fact that like I would have sat there and watched these guys in high school and gone, I can make the big leagues because they are so good. It's incredible watching them at the WWBAs, because my son's that age right now. And like these kids are so good, and they're so good early. I don't understand it, but it's fun to watch.
It's amazing. I mean, listen, Dylan Seward's going to go in the first round. I probably had 2 or 3 other kids that have an opportunity to be a first rounder, maybe more. I mean, we had this left-handed pitcher. I'm not going to use his name, but he thought he was a two-way guy, and then he takes the mound. He says he could hit, and then he goes out there in 97, 98 from the left side with a hammer. And I'm like, you're a PO. Chris Johnson and I both look at him and go, you're a pitcher, dude. Like, just tell your parents to take your bat. But then, of course, he gets in a bat in a game, and he's facing a kid throwing 98, and he waffle stomps one to left center for a walk-off double. So it's like, wait a minute, you couldn't hit yesterday, now you do this. So it's amazing how good these kids are. I mean, what they're able to do, how they're able to perform. But shout out USA Baseball, Brian Schneider. Thank you for inviting me. Hopefully we can get JJ Cooper on, who I was there with, and we can talk a little bit about these kids.
Yeah, I mean, just watching the high school talent, it is so impressive. And as much as people are like, all they care about is hitting homers and striking kids out, the talent, in my opinion, and I never saw incredible talent when I was in high school, is way better than when you and I were in high school. But you could speak differently again. You're in Florida, Texas, California, where the best kids play. But no, I just don't think it compares. I think the talent has gotten better earlier, and this is why guys are making the big leagues earlier too.
Also, by the way, Kratz, we did your favorite thing. So on our bus, every team got their own bus. So we had a red, a navy, a light blue, and we were gray. Obviously 4-0. Shout out, great team again. We're the champions. One day, I incentivized my team a little bit more than the other coaches. I
bribed them.
One night I said, if we strike
amateurs?
out, no. I said, if you guys strike out less than a certain amount of times, I'll buy you guys ice cream. And you would have thought they were going for a Game 7 of the World Series. Then the next day I said, if you strike out under a certain amount of times, I'll get you pizza and ice cream to watch the World Cup final. And you would have thought, again, it was Game 7 of the World Series. It's amazing. But what I want to tell you is, on the bus rides, guess what we made all the kids do?
Come to the front of the bus on the mic.
You know it. And it was awesome. It was so awesome. These kids were up there, and I was sitting in the manager's seat, which is usually front right. Matt Guerrero, our pitching coach, was sitting. So he had the mic, and then Chris Johnson was behind me. Jeff Reblay, another coach of ours who was awesome, our trainer. And the kids, we called them up one at a time. They were shaking and so nervous to talk on the mic. And then some of them had to sing, some of them didn't. It was awesome. And they loved it. And I promise you this, they'll remember the baseball, they'll remember this, but I promise you they will remember coming to the front of the bus and having to sing more than they'll remember the baseball.
And when they get called up to the big leagues, they'll have had a little bit of experience.
Exactly. So, anyways, ice cream. Who knew that 18-year-old kids' ice cream was such a big motivator?
Do you put? I'm sure they all eat like Scott now. But do you put Jimmy's or do you put sprinkles on your ice cream if you get a soft serve ice cream cone?
It depends on what part of the country you're in. But I ordered it because we tried to get the bus driver to stop at the ice cream shop on the way home. And he's like, only can go to the hotel. So I had to Uber Eats it to the hotel. So I was like, all right, what do you guys want? It was cookies and cream, vanilla, and cookie dough. So I had to get a bunch of ice cream. And then they're like, do you want toppings? And they said, yeah, chocolate syrup. They all said sprinkles. None of them said Jimmy's, and whipped cream were the hits. So an ice cream party. It was awesome. It was fun. But it's a motivating factor. And on that note, since we all need to lose weight now on Great Team because 4-0 and the champions, let's charge them out.
Charging them out.
All right, here we go. What did I miss? What did I miss this weekend? I mean, right now it's the Orioles and the Red Sox. The two hottest teams coming in, Kratzy, and the Red Sox cannot lose. I don't know what voodoo they pulled. I don't know if they sacrificed a live chicken. I don't know what they did. But here we go. Caleb Durbin with the home run in the bottom of the 8th, and they have won 14 straight games. And they are in the wild card, and they are over 500, which sounds impossible 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. But here they are, the Red Sox, and they broke the Orioles, I think, had 7-game winning streak until this game. So how hot are the Red Sox? And did we bury them too early? Because did you see a 14-game winning streak coming out of this team?
I think they were 14 games under 500. And then they pulled off a 14-game winning streak. I think they were 19-2 since they were 14 and under. All the stats really don't matter to me. Baseball has a way of cooling you off. And I think because we always see the A's like, 20-game winning streak, that's incredible. 14 kind of gets dumbed down a little bit. They haven't lost since July 1st. We're well through July right now. Baseball tried to cool them off with the All-Star break. You got those days off. They said, not going to happen. Baseball tried to cool them off by needing to play the Rays. Nope, we're good. And then they brought in the Orioles, who are the second hottest team besides the Gray team from Cary, North Carolina at the USA Trials. But they beat them too. They've been tested at every step. And they're doing it in different ways. And I've been the first one to say, no, I don't think this team's good enough. And they have constantly slapped me in the face and said, you are incorrect. They're in third place. They're in third place right now in the American League East. They were in last before.
That's what one 14-game winning streak will do. By the way, Ranger Suarez went on the IL in between starts. And the Red Sox have not lost since he went on the IL, but now apparently he's not starting again today. I don't know why. Eduardo Rivera will now start, which is breaking news, but he was scheduled to start tonight. He is not starting tonight. So maybe the Red Sox are just waiting for Ranger to come back. They're going to win every game, or they're waiting for Wilson Contreras to start a fight every night. Because since he started all those fights, they haven't lost. So maybe that was the key. They needed a little piss and vinegar in their step, Kratzy.
I mean, watching them, obviously when you're winning, everybody's happy, but watching everybody celebrate, it wasn't a walk-off. When Durbin hit the homer last night, you just see a different euphoria where you have like Wilson Contreras coming out and like other guys like holding each other. It's just different. It doesn't look scripted. It looks like these guys are just like, how on earth is this possible? What are we doing? because you just didn't think this is what was going to happen. And Ranger not starting now, I gotta text Claude a different lock because that lock's out now if Ranger's not pitching.
Well, I got to send my lock in. Producer lady is knifing me in the chat because I know we got a quick break coming up. I'll figure it out. Don't you worry. Also, by the way, Adley Rutschman went on the IL again, and we talked to Ken Rosenthal here coming up. He's in one of the trade candidates possibilities, one of the catchers that we're going to dig into with Ken. But Adley on the IL again. He just keeps getting hurt with wrist inflammation. I think it is this time. They had a bunch. The Orioles had a bunch of errors last night. I think the Red Sox are just as shocked as everyone else that they had a 14-game winning streak, but everything keeps falling into place. Teams make errors, they capitalize on it. Guys who weren't hitting are hitting. Their pitching has always been good. It has been fun if you're a Red Sox fan to watch us.
Yeah, and Ken Rosenthal is ready, so you know what we'll do? We'll hit a break, and we'll be right back.
If you're watching us, you already know we're wearing Mack Weldon right now as we talk about a great brand that makes things so comfortable and easy to wear. But if you're listening to the show, let me tell you a little bit more about Mack Weldon with my friend Erik Kratz.
Yeah, it's comfortable. It's light. It's summertime right now. For me, though, they cater to what I need, tall clothes. Normally when I buy tall clothes, it's like something that's cumbersome and boxy. It still fits incredibly well, super light, perfect for the summertime. They got me all covered.
Comfortable performance material can be yours. Mack Weldon is the spot. Don't sweat the heat this summer. Feel as effortlessly cool as you look with Mack Weldon. Go to mackweldon.com and get 20% off your first order of $125 or more with promo code FOUL. That's MACKWELDON.com, code FOUL.
All right, here he is, Ken Rosenthal, our senior citizen insider. That is, welcome, Ken. Wow. I haven't seen you since the All-Star game, the All-Star break, where you graced us with your presence on set. I just want to know, for the people out there that don't understand, what time do you need to be done, Ken? Because I have never seen someone so worried about an exact time just to go eat a salad.
That is a gross characterization of what that was. And also, I'm not a senior citizen just yet. Getting closer, I get it. But AJ, would you like to talk about anything factual today, or would you just like to engage in some of your personal myths?
They're not myths. I saw that Caesar you ate, Ken. It's not my fault that you were hungry.
Keep going.
All right, Ken. Let's get into it. Adley Rutschman on the IL. You wrote a column about catchers being trade possibilities. He was one of the ones listed. How does this hurt him and the Orioles? And then what are the other catchers that are possibilities of being traded? Because there's some teams out there, maybe the White Sox, with Kyle Teal. We don't know how hurt he is after last night.
Well, I wrote about 3 all-star catchers, and Rutschman was one of them. Shea Langeliers was another, and then Hunter Goodman, of course, being the third. And just the chances of them being traded. Now, the reason I wrote this was because a lot of people are speculating that with the Yankees in need of a catcher, they're going to go after these guys. And people just list names this time of year. Hey, here are the catchers who could be available. Well, in each circumstance, they're not necessarily available and not likely available. And I'll start with Rutschman. So here's a guy who now has been on the IL 5 times in less than 400 days, right? A little more than a year. And that's not good. This will likely take him to the deadline or past the deadline. The Orioles have played better. They've won 7 of 8, so they're not going to be as inclined to sell just at this moment anyway. But the real issue with Rutschman is that he's a free agent after next year, the lockout year. And when you're the Orioles, you probably have one of 2 choices. Well, you do have one of 2 choices. You sign him to an extension or you trade him. It might be that neither happens. It might be that they don't get an extension done because he's this close to free agency. And it might be also, more logically even, they don't trade him, not now because he's injured and also because they seem to be somewhat in the race. They are in the race. So he's not going to go, I wouldn't think, unless a team is willing to take a chance on a guy who's been on the IL 3 times this year already. But then the question becomes, okay, what is his future with the Orioles? The president of baseball operations, Mike Elias, has said he wants Adley Rutschman to be an Oriole forever. Well, there's a way to get that done, and it's by signing him to an extension.
These three guys, they were all all-stars. They're all kind of pushing themselves in different directions. Is there a chance that at this time of year, teams go exactly what Mike Elias said, like, we want him forever? He says no, and then the trades start happening? Or is it just, we'll see, and then maybe, obviously it's all value, but extension, no, then we're going to trade you?
Erik, at the All-Star break, I actually thought that would be the case with Rutschman. And for the reasons sort of that I just stated, that he's coming toward the end of his service with them. It's a year plus remaining. And they weren't, at the time, looking like a team that was going to be in contention. So if you're not in contention, you try the extension. If he doesn't take the extension, then maybe you trade him. With them in contention, with him now hurt, it's a different equation. Now, Langeliers is in a different circumstance. 2 years of control remaining past this one. And the A's want to keep momentum going. Now, obviously, they've lost momentum again. They've lost 15 of 17, 17 of 19, have lost track. And you would say, perhaps, well, he's a Scott Boras client. He's probably not signing an extension. Why not just move him? Well, for one thing, they don't have much depth in their system at catcher. For another, and this is maybe more important, they're opening that new ballpark in Las Vegas, scheduled in 2028. That would be Langeliers' last year with the team. They want to go into that ballpark with a contending club. It's hard to see right now, but they're playing at that minor league ballpark, which is Coors Field West. And by 2028, maybe they'll be in a better place. That's their intention. So trading Langeliers to them doesn't make a lot of sense right now. Now, the caveat always with these guys, with anybody, is make a good enough offer, you can get the player. With Hunter Goodman, that's the case as well. What the Rockies are trying to do is figure out, okay, which guys who are here right now will be part of our next 90-win team. And you might think, the Rockies are never winning 90 games. No, they're going to win 90 games at some point. And they're under new management now, Paul DePodesta and Josh Burns, and they want to build toward that. So is Goodman, or should he be a part of that with 3 years of control remaining? You would think that within those 3 years, they should be making progress toward 90 wins. At the same time, if you can get an offer where you get multiple pieces back that could help accelerate that timeline or make it easier to get to, you consider it. I don't expect it to happen. Hunter Goodman's having an amazing year, has a lot of value to the Rockies, but it's certainly something that I'm sure, well, I know they're getting inquiries on.
All right. The Yankees have been a team that have been connected to Ryan Jeffers because they want right-handed hitting catching. The two guys, Goodman and Shea Langeliers, are both right-handed hitting. But none of those three, Jeffers, Goodman, or Shea Langeliers, receive very well. And that's what the Yankees value. Are there other teams that are looking for this type of catcher, an all-star type of hitting catcher that is okay overlooking just the average receiving numbers?
The Rays are looking for a catcher. They've been looking for a catcher ever since they didn't draft Buster Posey in 2008 or whatever it was. They've had some catchers over the years. Zanino was one that were good for a time, but it's really been a black hole for them. That's one team. And the Dodgers, I don't expect that they would go for a number one type catcher, but with Smith out, Will Smith, they might look for a complementary piece to Dalton Rushing. Now, when you mention the framing and the receiving aspect of it, yes, all teams factor that in now. In the Yankees case, they've got a catching coach, Tanner Swanson, who is highly regarded, who does really good work with catchers, who has worked with Jeffers before. He was in Minnesota. So there is some connection there, and there's also the possibility that with different voices in a guy's ear, he might do things a little bit differently and improve his receiving aspect. You might say, well, wait a second. These guys are in the big leagues. They're not changing that much. We see big leaguers change all the time, and we see them improve in the big leagues all the time. So it's not impossible.
All right. I just want to know, Ken, if you had to rank these three in the most likely to be traded, because none of these three to me seem like would be – Rutschman to me would be one just because they have Basayo already there. But the Rockies don't have another catcher. The A's don't really have another catcher that's there and already established and ready to go. So would it be Rutschman one, Goodman 2, Langeliers 3, or am I wrong here?
AJ, I wouldn't even venture a ranking at this point because, frankly, I don't believe any of them is getting traded at this deadline. Now, in the offseason with Rutschman, with the lockout looming, maybe then that becomes a more serious conversation depending upon how the Orioles finish. And the other two guys, I don't expect will be traded at all. I don't know that any team will meet the price of the respective clubs that they would have to do to get either one of those players. So I wouldn't rank them. I would say all are unlikely, which is kind of why I wrote it. So people can look at this and say, whoa, maybe the Yankees aren't getting those guys. Maybe the Rays aren't getting those guys. It's going to have to be others.
All right, well, let's go to the National League East, where the Braves are fighting off the Phillies, keeping them at bay, whatever it is. Where's their focus going to be at this trade deadline? Because you look at the team and you say there's a few holes to a really good team that could make them an elite team.
It's funny, Eric. Friday, I wrote and reported that the Braves' focus at that time was offense. They were concerned about their offensive consistency over several weeks. And while starting pitching certainly has been a need going back to the offseason, they felt that they had a number of internal options, guys coming back on rehabilitation assignments, things like that, where they would have choices. They still might, but it still seems to me, as it has seemed from spring training, they need a starter capable of starting a playoff game. Alex Anthopoulos listed that as their number one need in the offseason and never addressed it. Still hasn't addressed it. Still seems to me that's a big need. Their offense right now is in a better place. Austin Riley has finally come alive here. Acuna is coming back. So I would think their focus has to be pitching. Despite what I was told last week and despite what I wrote, it just seems to me that Bryce Elder pitched better last night. That was good. But they got to keep this going.
Oh, the Phillies are right on their tails, Kenny. So they got to win every game. The Phillies have been playing really well. They beat the Dodgers last night, and they've closed that gap down. So it's going to be interesting, which is good. Good for the game, not good if you're a Braves fan. If you're Claudia, she's a little bit panicked because the Braves might be in trouble. But there was another team we thought was dead and buried, the Red Sox. Not that long ago. Here they are, Kenny, 14-game winning streak. You have on the Athletics big board, Wilson Contreras, Sonny Gray were in the top 10, most likely to be traded. Has this changed their mind, and now they're going to be buyers?
I would say it's definitely changing their mind. Now, things can change still over the next 11 or 12 days. The Red Sox could go the other way again, though it certainly doesn't look like at this point they're going to lose another game the rest of the season. But I would expect, yes, at this point that they will buy and not sell. They could do a little of both, but Sonny Gray's been crucial to what they have done. And Wilson Contreras, I don't know that he was ever really a serious trade candidate. He has another year left, and he's been such a huge part of their offense and really their overall team chemistry. So I do see them buying, and what the need is clear. It's offense. It's a right-handed bat, and I know they're scoring now and they're playing much better. And for all of us, including myself, who are very critical of their president of baseball operations or their chief baseball officer, Craig Breslow, what is happening with them is kind of the way he laid it out in certain respects. They're getting great pitching, and Suarez not coming off the IL tonight, but perhaps tomorrow. He's been a part of that. Of course, they've got the young kids that they've developed themselves. And even without Crochet, their starting pitching has been an absolute strength. And it's enabled them to build a foundation for this pitching defense thing that they were trying to do. So great for the Red Sox. It's good to see Fenway alive again. And it's cool to see this whole thing turn around. And it's just proof again, AJ. We talk and we talk and we talk, and I write and I write and I write. And a lot of times, I'll be honest, I evidently don't know what I'm talking about.
Well, I'm actually going to bring up one of the things you said on our show was Craig Breslow, because of some of the things that have gone on, might be on the hot seat. Now,
Yep.
Does he act like a GM that's on the hot seat? You talked about Dana Brown possibly on the hot seat, so he could be very aggressive in making moves, even though Jim Crane hamstrung him. Could Craig Breslow be all of a sudden this GM that's going to move like a GM on the hot seat and be this Dave Dombrowski that we wanted to see?
Eric, GMs don't often operate as if they're on the hot seat. And what I mean by that is the way they go about it and the lip service they give anyway is that they're trying to do at all times what's best for the organization. And if they do that, and things work out, then okay, they'll be safe. I don't expect Breslow to operate differently because of what's been written and said about him, because of Sam Kennedy, their team president, calling the team's play an embarrassment last month. What I expect is him to do what he thinks is best. Same with Mike Elias in Baltimore. Now, what they end up doing might not turn out to be what's best, and it might turn out to be mistaken. Who knows? Also might turn out to be great. But generally speaking, guys don't try to save their jobs at the deadline. That's not how they work. And it's a credit to them, actually, because they know what they have to do is keep the organization's best interests in mind. I know there are exceptions to this. I'm sure there are over the years, but generally speaking, I don't see GMs, presidents of baseball operations, chief baseball officers operating like that.
Ken, a couple of teams I want to ask you about. One is the Padres, who are, I think, 49-50, sitting there at 49-50 right now. Not great. I mean, they have a lot of pieces. And then the other one is the Blue Jays, who almost were, again, 6 inches away from winning the World Series last year. Are these teams going to be sellers? Is there a move out there? Dylan Cease lost last night for the Blue Jays. Is there a move out there that could vault these teams back into playoff, not only playoff contention, but World Series contention?
It's tough to see right now with both those teams, AJ, and both those teams right now, if you had to guess, would be trending towards selling. The Padres this morning, I checked, their playoff odds were like 9%. Not very good at all. Now, the difference with them is they're run by a president of baseball operations, AJ Preller, who doesn't seem to take into account the odds against him. He will fire, and he will try his best to put a playoff caliber team on the field almost no matter what the odds are. Now, could this year be the exception? It certainly could be the exception, and it probably should be the exception based on the way they've played. Their offense just hasn't been good enough. The rotation is still full of questions. Maybe they get Pivetta back and Musgrove back, and it's a better look, but it's tough to see. The Blue Jays, it's kind of the same thing. Haven't hit all year. And Vlad Jr. still does not have a home run at Rogers Center. No home runs at home this season for Vlad Jr. It's hard to believe that that's possible. And it's not just on him. They've missed Addison Barger. They've had Alejandro Kirk out for a while, come back, not that good or not that good offensively. They just haven't clicked the way they have in the past. So I could see them selling too. And it would be surprising. And maybe things change over the next 11 days in each case. Because we've seen, just look at the Red Sox as an example. It's really 2 weeks that this has happened over. Before this 14-game streak, no one was saying, wow, the Red Sox. So it can change really quickly.
All right. Well, then who are the Jays' most valuable pieces? Is it Gausman? Is it Dalton Varsho in the defensive center field aspect? Or is there somebody that I'm not thinking of that's got an expiring contract?
Varsho has an expiring contract. He would be one. Springer, I don't know that he'd have much value. He would be another. And certainly Gausman would be a guy that would get a lot of attention if they put him out there. They also have some bullpen pieces, lesser guys that they could trade. I'm not exactly sure what it would look like for them, but listen, there's talent on that team, obviously, and there are players that could be traded and maybe bring them something back. It's just if you're the Blue Jays coming off a World Series bid, a World Series appearance, it's hard to do. It's hard to give up and say, man, we can't be that team that we were last year, only, 9 months ago. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they play this.
A lot of pressure. Remember last year at this time, the front office there was on the hot seat. John Schneider was on the hot seat, and then they turned it around. I mean, kind of like the Red Sox. They fired their manager. Breslow was on the hot seat, and now here they are in playoff contention. So it's crazy how one 14-game winning streak can turn everything around, Ken. It really is crazy that's what they're hoping for. But Shohei Ohtani, everyone's saying, oh, he's going to win the Cy Young. I kept saying he's not because he's not going to pitch enough. He's not going to be out there enough. Now he's skipping starts. He's got a bad left knee. Is there a little bit of worry on the Dodgers in that they might actually have to go out and get more starting pitching?
There has to be some concern, and there has to be some thought of that. Now, they're downplaying this. They're saying they're just playing for the long haul, and he was throwing, I think, as recently as yesterday or the day before, even with this issue that he has, which he has said is mechanically related. He needs to figure out how to deal with this while pitching. That said, what is their priority? Always their priority is October. So what they want to do is get him as healthy as possible to pitch and hit in October. It's the same thing they're doing, just on a different scale with Snell and with Glass now. They're pointing all toward the postseason. That said, could they use another starter to protect themselves? Yes, they probably could. It's just that Andrew Friedman, their president of baseball operations, hates overpaying at the deadline. And for starting pitchers, you usually have to overpay. So I don't know how aggressive they'll be. They've got options. Eric Lauer has been really good for them. River Ryan's been up and down in the minor leagues with a hamstring issue, but he's rehabbing and he's apparently trending well. They can do some things and be okay as long as they get to the playoffs, which they will. Remember, they have this huge cushion. So I don't know that they'll feel the urgency. And everyone's wondering, I'm sure, okay, what about Scooble for them? This is what they do, right? Hang around the backboard, then dunk on the entire sport. They don't necessarily want to do that. It'll be interesting to see how aggressive they are on it. If it becomes a thing, I should say.
Yeah. Yeah. How much was that knee directly related to just pitching, the swelling in it that they had to take down and the mechanics? Because he's still hitting and there's a lot of twisting and hitting and so there's a fear. Is there any talk of him possibly taking a break completely or just from the hitting and not from pitching?
I don't know how much of it relates to either of those skills. There is talk of him not pitching for some time. That was Dave Roberts' quote. He will not pitch for some time. Taking a break from hitting, it doesn't seem necessary. But obviously, if it becomes in the Dodgers' mind something that would benefit Ohtani and accelerate the healing process here, why wouldn't they do it? They've got this huge lead. They're not getting caught by anyone in that division. All those teams are flawed in one sense or another. So they could really act as cautiously as they want with him. And they've taken some cautious steps here simply by stopping and pausing the pitching. So I don't know the answer exactly to what is causing this and how it's playing out for him. But at the same time, the Dodgers are going to slow play it. And they have every ability to slow play it because of the cushion they've built.
Ken, thank you very much for joining us. By the way, in case you didn't hear, I don't know if you saw the open of the show, but I helped coach Team USA Baseball, and we went 4-0. My team did, Ken, so congratulate me. Thank you for the congratulations. And also, we called the kids to the front of the bus, and we asked them their favorite team and their favorite player. I was shocked at this. Of the 22 kids we had, not one said Shohei. Not one said Shohei. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. Not one kid. I mean, there was – it was everybody else. It was dependent on where they were from. Braves guys, had their Braves people. Southeastern guys had their people. There was some kids from Tampa that said some Rays guys. There were some kids from up north that had Phillies guys. The West Coast guys, though, it wasn't Shohei. And I was shocked that the kids from like LA didn't say Shohei Ohtani.
That is surprising. And AJ, I have to say congratulations. Obviously, you're the next great manager in Major League Baseball after managing these children.
Ken, they're 18 years old, Ken. I don't understand. They're not children. They're adults. They can vote, right, Ken. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Congrats,
Ken,
AJ.
go back to your Caesar salad. Thanks. Hopefully we got you out on time. It's 1:35. And make sure you check out Ken on Fair Territory, Mondays and Thursdays on the FT YouTube page. We'll be right back with What's the Beef?
Hey, for the families out there looking for a new path to help your child succeed, take a look at K-12 Powered Schools. K-12 offers tuition-free, accredited online public education for students in kindergarten through 12th grade, all in a setting that works for your family. And they've been a leader in online education for over 25 years, serving over 3 million families. And Todd, Father, you've raved about the homeschooling experience.
Hey, if you're a busy family, K-12 is where it's at. I've had a couple of my children who've been homeschooled. It's a fantastic opportunity for them not only to get better in school, but timely fashion too, and make some new friends. K-12 has every opportunity to make your child better and smarter as they move forward in their academic career.
See how K-12 Powered Schools can help unlock your child's full potential. Enroll online today at k12.com/FOUL. That's the letter K, the number 12.com/FOUL, k12.com/FOUL.
This is one of those I don't really get, Kratzy. We're going to go what's the beef, Yankees and the Pirates. Jose Caballero does things, okay? He does things. Include wear really funny eye black, right? Like it looks
two lines,
but then it goes down. Hey, whatever. Again, I was with kids. There were some kids wearing the 2 lines. It is whatever you want it to be. Hey, you be you, okay? But he hit into a double play, and then Dennis Santana, who has like a 7 ERA on the season, should be celebrating the fact he didn't give up a bunch of runs in this inning, was mad because he did his thing with the pitch clock again. Here, look, he's like, look at me, look at you, look at me. And then, of course, they fake fight. And as soon as the catcher grabbed him, then Santana got really, really excited and wanted to yell and scream. But Caballero saying, what did I do? What did I do? He's legal. I don't understand why pitchers are letting this bother them to a point where they want to fight Jose Caballero. Again, Santana, you've been terrible this year. I'm sorry. The numbers say you've been terrible. You should be celebrating. You got a fast guy to hit into a double play. You should have been pumping yourself up instead of yelling at the other dugout. I don't understand it. Everything this guy is doing is legal. Everything this guy is doing is exactly what I would be doing. I would manipulate the pitch clock. Pitchers have been able to the veteran guys like Scherzer and some of these guys have manipulated with guys on base. So I don't know why everyone is so pissed off at Jose Caballero.
He's always pissed guys off before the pitch clock. Something about, I always say it's something about his face. You know, when somebody pisses somebody off, it's like there's just something that pisses guys off. I mean, I remember he used to piss the Yankees off when he was with the Rays. Like, to me, that means he's doing his job. But I'm going to go to the quote, Santana's quote. He said, it's the 8th inning and you got a couple hits, like, get ready. He can do whatever he wants, but we're already losing, is what Santana's quotes were. So Caballero's supposed to do what? Is my question. Like, he's supposed to give away his at-bat. He's supposed to change his rhythm in his timing for his at-bat. Like, it's an advantage. To me, I think when the pitch clock came in, we were out of the game. I was in the minor leagues, and I felt like it was a hindrance for me as a hitter because I had a process when I went up to the plate, and if that process got rushed, if the umpire would ever be like, hey, come on, let's go, get in the box, it bugged me. So the fact that Caballero's taken the pitch clock as a hitter and basically put a stranglehold on it and is absolutely swimming laps in certain pitchers' heads throughout the league, I think is genius, and it's an advantage, and it's probably one of the reasons he's having a good year this year.
Agreed. He's not doing anything wrong. I don't know. Aaron Boone had some quotes about this, and I kind of stand with Aaron Boone on this one.
Are you surprised opposing pitchers are still having trouble with what Caballero is doing at the plate? Considering he's been doing it all year with the 8-second.
I don't know. I mean, not necessarily. It's a weird timing thing for guys, and obviously you can't start up. So when not a lot of guys do it, it can catch you off guard probably a little bit.
If you were on the opposing team, would it annoy you?
It has in the past, but no, and more so than him being on our team now is like, I completely understand it. It's part of his process of getting ready mentally to hit, and frankly, I think more guys should employ it, and that way you take the pitcher out of having all the ability to disrupt timing.
Agreed. And by the way, it's employ it, not implore it. But we're not the grammar police on this one.
We can be.
But it's Aaron Boone. He's awesome, and I agree. He's doing stuff that other players can do, and the best part of that answer was, well, when he was on the other team, we didn't love all of his stuff, right? But now he's on our team, and we got his back. So I love this. I think it's awesome, and I love what Aaron Boone said. Other teams should implore this. Other guys should implore this, and they should go out and they should do this because I think that it works. And the fact that pitchers are getting pissed off about this is just, I'm sorry, it's dumb. It's dumb. This is a dumb reason to get mad at somebody.
We need the chat to give us a definition for implore and employ. And this is not, I know what people are going to say in the comments. well, AJ, this was right up your alley. This was right. Like,
yeah.
He's not doing anything wrong, but it's not right up your alley in the sense that it's like, oh, he's such a, what the stuff that he does is really gets under my skin. What is Caballero supposed to do? To me, the stuff that AJ did when he played, like talking to guys in the box or like, perceived ways that he would do things, it was only to win. It's to take an advantage away from the other team. That, to me, you're giving it to the team. If you react to Caballero doing this, then you've already lost. If, like, Cooper Pratt's got like 4 days in the big leagues. He does it, routinely does it. And every once in a while, bang, he'll turn and he'll look at the pitcher at like 12 seconds. And you can see the pitcher is like, it's almost like they like flinch, like they're not ready to come set or something. Like it's such a genius way. And I think more guys in the minor leagues are trying to employ it, not implore it, employ it. And I think it's something that you can change. You can take control of that pitch clock. Like I said before, like Booney said, and like, this is not a dirty play. Oh, you're losing. And for Santana to say, oh, well, we're already losing. Why don't you just get ready? Why don't you just get in the box? What, and just swing at the first pitch when I don't swing at the first pitch, or just put the ball in play and hope something happens? No, it's the big leagues. Every at-bat matters.
Agreed. What he's doing is awesome. I think it's great. And the more guys do it, more power to him. And if pitchers get pissed off, you know what? They don't like it, play better. So I don't know. But also the Yankees are getting Stanton back hopefully soon. Every time, it seems like lately, every time Stanton goes on rehab, something else pops up. So hopefully we can get Big G back. And then Max Fried is supposed to come back next week. And of course, they're bringing him to pitch against the White Sox. Why? Because the White Sox are in first place, Kratzy. So there's a little, and they won 2 out of 3 from the Yankees already. So Yankees a little scared of the old mighty White Sox.
I mean, the Yankees had to clean up their own house before that 1-10 stretch, 1-9 stretch that they went on. That was, I feel like there's good teams and then there's teams that can be streaky. And I feel like when you're a streaky team that is good, you can run into that bad streak during the playoffs. You can run into that bad streak when you face a team that's able to execute their pitches. If you looked back starting back with the Red Sox series, it was a team that was able to be pitched to. The Red Sox threw out guys like Tolley, guys like Bennett, guys like Conley early, guys who were hitting their locations and weren't just shotgun spraying the ball into the zone. And the Yankees really had a lot of problem with that. Yes, with Judge out, the lineup is always going to be worse. I feel like that's the most remedial thing to say. But getting Stanton back is just like the Dodgers with Blake Snell, with Tyler Glasnow, with Shohei. Could Stanton play tomorrow if the playoffs started? That's the question. When he's healthy enough to play, that's when we get him out there. Not, we need you to get us out of this 2-9 skid that we're in. We need you to get us out of this. We're playing the White Sox Fried. You need to come off the IL. No. The Yankees, I feel like, are kind of in a little bit of a cruise mode with maybe a little bit of a panic.
Okay, that's fair. I don't know. We'll see. But they've gotten a lot closer. Remember, the Rays put some separation, and now the Yankees have closed that gap a little bit. So they're doing some right, and they look like they're getting healthier. If they get Judge back, we don't know when that's going to be or if that's going to be. But Stan would help. Obviously, Max Fried would help. But, hey, we'll talk about it when it gets closer to something.
I think they need Max Fried more than Stanton. Just to be honest, I think that's a solid piece, especially since Garrett Cole is coming off of Tommy John surgery. Like, you don't just go out and go, I'm just going to pitch forever. You were the one that said it. Shane Bieber came on and confirmed it. Guys don't always heal the exact same way.
Okay, that's fair. Well, you know what we have coming up next, ladies and gentlemen? My favorite segment, my all-time favorite thing to talk about, power rankings. Yippee! And we'll compare them to where they were now and to where they were from about a month ago. So let's go power rankings.
What if you can actually have it all? And I'm talking about Mint Mobile taking the premium wireless bouginess, Kratz, but then bringing it to the transparency in pricing and the affordability in pricing.
They're going to lay everything out there with a cheap bill that, you know what, everybody can handle right now.
You can even bring your current phone and your number if you're thinking about it and you're like, I'm worried about that. No worries. They have you covered because they're able to convert people all the time to the Mint Mobile way. Go to mintmobile.com/territory. That's mintmobile.com/territory. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/territory. That's it. There's no catch. Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan required, $15 per month equivalent, taxes and fees extra. Initial plan term only. Greater than 50 gigabytes may slow when network is busy. Includes up to 20 gigabyte hotspot. Capable device required. Availability, speed, and coverage varies. See mintmobile.com.
Here we go, people. Here we go. Power rankings. I'll give you guys a guess who I'm going to go first just because I can't wait to get laughed at how much of my power rankings have changed, which is fine. It doesn't bother me. But I will give you one guess who my number one team is on my power rankings.
For the last 2 years or just this month?
Every one of these we've ever done.
The Dodgers.
There you go. Boom. Pretty easy. The Dodgers, I know they don't have the best record. I think the Brewers passed them by half a game or one game, but they're still the Dodgers. And like Kenny Salad said, they're playing for October, and that's where they're at. So the Dodgers, we'll run through mine. It'll be real quick. Dodgers are 1. Brewers are 2. Braves, Phillies are kind of like 3A, 3B. I know the Braves are a little bit ahead. Then I get to the American League, and I feel like the Rays and Yankees are 5A and B, 5 and 6. And this is where it gets interesting for you people out there that can all hate on me on the internet. I put the White Sox in front of the Cubs. Why? Because the White Sox are always better than the Cubs. That's it. That's my reason. The White Sox are in first place. The Cubs are not. The record is different. I don't care. The White Sox will always be better than the Cubs. And then I threw the Mariners in there at 9 just because I think at some point they're going to get hot. They're over 500. Cal Raleigh had a big hit. I know he's struggling, but he had a big hit, home run. I think it was Grand Slam last night. And then the Red Sox with their 14-game winning streak right now. I think there's going to be some regression from the Red Sox, but right now they're 10 in my power rankings, and I'm sure this has changed a lot and I look like a fool, but let's show it. Kratzy, what did it look like from my last power rankings?
I mean, that's what I want to see. Brewers
Not bad.
moved up. Not bad.
Not bad.
Brewers moved
Not
up.
bad.
White
Pretty
Sox.
close.
I mean, you're a homer, but I feel like you're not totally off on the White Sox. The Guardians dropped out. That's my surprise that you don't have the Guardians somewhere up there, but you have the White Sox. And the Mariners stayed the same for you. So I feel like that's pretty much where the Mariners are. That's where the whole AL West is.
Yeah, listen, I feel like the Mariners are better than what their record's been. And I feel pretty good about that. Most of it stayed pretty close to the same. Some teams moved up a little bit. Some teams got hotter, but I feel like they're all – it's pretty good. So you know what? And I did this blind. I did not have my power rankings from last time. I didn't even know we were going to show the ones from last time. So I feel pretty happy that I was that close. So now, Kratzy, it's your turn to be on the hot seat.
Yeah, I'm totally fine with that. As long as I'm not going to get fired over getting this wrong, then I'm totally fine because I'm going to start with the Dodgers. That's chalk. I feel like mine, if you would look at the records, I don't know if I don't have the records pulled up, but I feel like it's probably chalk on records here. I think I go – so we're straight even with Brewers, Braves, Phillies. Then I have the Rays better than the Yankees. I think, a little hot stretch could change that. I have the Cubs and White Sox switched. I think the NL Central has some intriguing teams in the sense that I think the Pirates are clearly doing well this year for Pirates. I think they're going to make the Cubs record look a little bit worse because I think the NL Central, besides the Reds, is a fun division to watch. I think the Cardinals have been slipping, but that means where the Cubs are at right now, they had to beat some pretty decent teams in that Central. I think the White Sox to me, they've just been winning. I feel like they know how to win because they're like a college team. They're out there just getting after it every single night. Somebody new does something, and they're a fun team to watch. It's no San Diego environment, but man, I've never taken my family to Rate Field, and this team makes me want to go and watch a game there because they just seem like they're in every game. I have the Guardians at 9 and the Mariners at 10. And I think the Mariners are going to win that division. I think the Guardians are going to end up winning the division. But right now, I think the White Sox are ahead of them.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, there's a couple things I would argue about there. The Guardians, the White Sox are always better than the Cubs. I said it was a homer pick. Yeah, and let's look at your board from June 9th. A little over a month ago, Brewers moved up, Phillies moved up, Rays moved up, and then it's very similar to mine. I mean, I'm not going to lie. Diamondbacks dropped out, Cardinals dropped out, kind of very similar. But yeah, I can't argue. I can't make fun of it because you know what this also shows you? The first 1 to 7 teams are pretty much this, we all have kind of the same idea. And then you get to like 8, 9, 10, and you're just like kind of throwing darts at a dartboard. Poof, who's hot this week? Poof. Oh, wait, the Red Sox are hot. Let's fire them in there real quick. Oh, the Mariners are 1 game over. They have all this potential. Boom, we'll throw a dart. We'll hit them, right? Oh, the Guardians. Oh, poop, they hit 7 homers, 6 off Joe Ryan last night. Poop, they're hot. We'll fire one at them. It's a crapshoot after about number 6 for me.
If we can bring that board up again, please, about not my ranking board, but the how I did from the last month. I remember being hesitant wanting to put the Cardinals in that list, being hesitant wanting to put the Diamondbacks in that June 9th board. I think now, I agree with what you said if it was still June 9th. I think there's been some separation in those 6 through 9 teams. I feel like there's maybe even 6 through 10. There's a separation in the sense of I think those teams are less interchangeable with everybody that I have outside of the list. I think I forget exactly who I have. I know I have the Guardians. You didn't have the Guardians. I'm not sure who you had. It just felt like this time it was a lot easier to make the end of my list. While I could shift some around. I could put the White Sox above the Cubs and the Guardians above the White Sox. Like I can do that. But I felt like other times it just felt like once we got to number 6, after we were done with my quote unquote mandatory American League picks of the Rays and the Yankees, it felt like it was very, very muddled. And I think we're seeing a little bit clearer of a picture than what we had on June 9th when we did this.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think we both have the same top 6. So I think, like I said, I think once you get past the 6 to 7, the Cubs, you can make an argument they're 7, 8, wherever they are, they're probably better than the White Sox. But again, I'm a homer. So if it's close, I'm a homeowner also, multiple homeowner. But when you dig into it, the first 6 are pretty easy to rank, and then it just becomes a muddled mess. And excuse me. I don't know. I don't know. Teams can make moves. The Phillies, the Braves, some of these teams can make moves and can move up and down. They could get hot. Some teams could sell, make some moves. They don't work out. Someone gets hurt. It's so fluctuating, just depending on. And again, I do this for right now. I don't do this from the end of the season. I don't do this for months from now. It's just kind of what I feel right now. And it's amazing that we had the same top 6. That really is kind of amazing.
I think I picked the teams based on what I think their ability is, and I think every team on that top 6, except for possibly the Rays, I don't really care what moves they make. I don't care if the Phillies find a right-handed outfield bat because I don't think it's going to be Byron Buxton or Mike Trout to make this massive, massive move for the team. I don't care if the Yankees find another bullpen piece because I don't think they're going to get a closer. So to me, I put those teams on there because I think they're all really, really good. I think there's not a lot of moves that make me say, oh, yeah, these guys they're going to go all in on. None of those teams are going to go get Skubal, in my opinion. I don't think the Braves are going to get Skubal. I think they may get like a Joe Ryan type of thing. But I think it's a case of these are the most solid teams, no matter what their last week of hot streak is. No, and that's probably why I kept the Red Sox out, because I'm not fully convinced, but I'm willing to watch because of what they've done.
Yeah, but I think that's what's so amazing is if one team does make the Skubal move, the move, or if the Braves, like you said, go get Joe Ryan, that changes things. You go Sale, Joe Ryan, Elder. Lopez has been better since he's gone in the starting rotation. But then you back it up at the back end of their bullpen. When Suarez comes back, Iglesias, Lee, Dot. I mean that bullpen. I think that does change some things. Now, if the Phillies go get a Byron Buxton or Skubal moves to one of these teams, it definitely will change the rankings. I would love for the Rays to go out and make a big move, just to see if the Yankees answer. Right, the Rays go out and get a pitcher, a great pitcher, or a huge bat, whoever that is, and then it would be fascinating to see if they do it early enough, and then the Yankees say, "Oh man, we really might have to do something here because they're really going for it."
Or how much the Judge injury doesn't heal between now and the trade deadline. And all those moves, like I can explain all those moves based on, the fact that I put the Braves ahead of the Phillies because the Phillies have given up the most runs besides the Nationals outside of or after the seventh inning. And the Braves are ridiculously good in the bullpen. And what has helped teams move on in the playoffs? Well, bullpen. The Phillies lost because their bullpen gave it up last year in the playoffs, and so they lost to the eventual world champions. They probably would have been a team right in the mix there because I felt like they were one of the two best teams in the National League.
Fair. That's fair. I don't know. We'll see. In another 6 weeks, we'll do this. Maybe we'll do this after the trade deadline in a couple weeks, and depending on the trade, we can do. Then maybe, what? Producer Lady, why didn't we wait? Why didn't we just wait till after the trade?
No.
She just did this to irritate me. I know. It's fine. I came home in a good mood. And then the first text I receive after I get off the airplane this morning at 7 was, "Can you put your power rankings out there?" I think she did it just to rub me the wrong way. It's fine. We'll get revenge at some point on old Producer Lady.
I love that nugget that you just dropped in there was you got off the airplane at 7 a.m. this morning.
Yeah. After a late night of meetings and trying to figure out 18-year-old kids and how they will handle pressure. Oof, I don't know how they're going to handle pressure. You got to go to Dominican and play. That's an atmosphere a lot of these kids haven't played in, but we'll see. Anyways, our next guest is Marty Caswell. She is from Friar Territory. She covers the San Diego Padres and has covered me for a long time. We've talked a lot every time I go to San Diego. So let's bring in Marty when we get a chance here.
Todd, Father, are you hitting some games this summer? What's the deal?
Oh, of course, and it's real simple. Scotty Braun, you know how it is. You go to SeatGeek and you can find any deal you want in any section you want. Even if the game's sold out, go to SeatGeek and you'll find something that you love, affordable for your family that you can enjoy anywhere, anytime, at any ballpark and stadium you want. Enjoy it. It's the best opportunity to go see a beautiful game of baseball.
And that's the thing. You can be so last minute. SeatGeek is the official ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball. They have you covered for all of your baseball ticket needs the entire summer. They also have over 70,000 events on SeatGeek. That includes concerts, festivals, all kinds of sporting events. So go check it out right now, FT fam. The code is Territory10 for 10% off your next set of MLB tickets at SeatGeek. That's 10% off with promo code Territory10. Make sure you click the link in the description to download the app, and then the code automatically is added to your account so you can use it later.
Here we go. I feel like I should be in charge of Friar Territory since I met the Pope, Marty, because aren't the friars Catholic priests? So maybe, I don't know. But anyways, Marty Caswell here from Friar Territory. Didn't you used to work? What radio station did you used to work at, Marty? Didn't you?
I used to work at the Mighty 1090, which was started in 2003, and we used to be the flagship of the Padres. So yes, you're right, AJ. You mentioned that I covered you when you were a player. I think people refer to it as stalking. I used to stalk you as a reporter and a producer because my job was to get on players, interesting players from the opposing team, put them on our pregame show, put them on our postgame show. So yes, Marty Caswell, professional stalker. That was kind of my role. So
okay, so I have to say this, and I mean this with all the respect in the world. I never knew what your name was. I just knew you were the radio lady in San Diego. And I mean, and then I'm going to continue this. So the first time we had you on there and they send a text to us, this is kind of insider stuff. Hey, tomorrow the guests are, this was not this time, obviously, but Ken Rosenthal, Marty Caswell. I'm like, who is Marty? I'm like, what is this? Who is this dude that's coming on? I honestly, and then Then I Googled you and I was like, oh my gosh, that's the radio lady from San Diego. I love her.
Wow, that's hype. See, if I had known that, I would have bothered you even more. So I'm not sure. Like when I would go in and bother, ask guys, hey, would you come on our show? I wasn't sure if guys were pretending to be on their phone or they were genuinely on their phone. But no, usually it's pretty good. That was fun. So yeah, Mighty 1090. I got my start in sports radio as a producer. We used to have guys. When Petco Park first opened, right, you had all the excitement of a brand new ballpark and these Padres. We had a 3-hour pregame show, a 3-hour pregame show on the Padres for teams that weren't 3 hours for teams that were great. So now you understand why half those times I'm going in the visiting clubhouse to demand AJ Pierzynski come on our show.
Wow, 3 hours. That's a lot. I don't know how y'all did it, but y'all did it. And by the way, 1090 was a big Jim Rome, right? Weren't they big Jim Rome? Yeah, so I got asked to go on the Jim Rome show, and I love Jim Rome. I did a lot of stuff with Jim Rome back when he was on ESPN and doing his whole radio show. So I'm kind of excited.
Jungle.
Yeah, I'm excited because I did a lot with him. So I didn't even, honestly, I shouldn't maybe say this, but I didn't know he was still doing stuff because I haven't heard. And then I got asked to do his show. So I'm like, heck yeah, glory days, Marty.
Yeah.
Glory days.
Thank you. That the glory days of sports radio. Yes, was all live and local. He had a huge signal that blast, huge signal. So that's where I got my start in sports radio. And look at me now, man, as our media world evolves. Hi, Erik.
All right.
I'm glad. Yeah, you never asked me because I only came into San Diego one time in my career, and that's fine. And right now, I don't think anybody wants to come into San Diego unless you're the opposing team and everybody wants to play San Diego.
Wow. Well, as of late, yeah, you're right. I mean, in the couple of the previous homestands, I mean, Petco Park has always been a place where the other teams didn't want to go because, I mean, the Padres they're a better team at home, right? And the crowd was into it. But lately, like we saw when the Dodgers came in town, when the Cubs came in town, as the Padres have struggled, there's been a bit more of a fan takeover. We'll see what happens when the Padres return from this dismal road trip. The last homestand before the trade deadline when they play the Colorado Rockies and the San Francisco Giants. We'll see. We'll see, fellas.
Well, here, let's get into it, Marty. Are they going to Are they going to be buyers or sellers? I don't think Preller doesn't want to be a seller.
No.
If there's one thing we know about AJ Preller, he wants to keep trying and trying. He'll never give up, right? So if it came down to him having to sell, I feel like it would eat him alive.
It's not in his DNA, AJ. I mean, he has not really sold at the deadline since 2019. Now, when AJ Preller last spoke to the media, which is at the end of the draft, when he was asked about that, he said, listen, we could go either direction. And you don't usually hear that from AJ Preller, right? But with how poorly they have performed and how disappointing that last homestand was, this was a huge road trip for them, playing one of the worst teams in baseball, the Kansas City Royals. They dropped that series, and they scored 19 runs on Sunday to avoid a sweep, and they come out flat yesterday against the Atlanta Braves. So this is a huge road trip. If they can't figure something out, he has some attractive trade chips. I know we'll talk about Mason Miller. There are other guys who could fall in that possibility as well. Guys like Adrian Morejon, who would be a great addition to anyone's bullpen. Ty France, who has been on fire recently. Perhaps even Michael King, who can opt out after this year. If the Padres become sellers, they do have some very attractive trade chips. But here's the problem, guys. They have so many holes to fill right now. They lost Ramon Laureano, their left fielder, out for the remainder of this season. Nick Pivetta and Joe Musgrove, both of those guys are throwing to hitters right now in Arizona in their spring training facility. They could come back, but outside of Michael King right now, they don't really have reliable starting pitching. They have so many holes, but what they have going against them. And I mentioned this before with, Darren Smith and I talked about this on Friar Territory. What is the window of opportunity for this Padres team? Manny Machado turned 34 years old in July. Xander Bogaerts is turning 34 years old in October. Their best years are behind them. If you're the San Diego Padres and you're thinking, what's my window of winning with these aging superstars? This kind of might be it. So maybe if you're the Padres, you're hoping you can get something. You're hoping you get Pavetta or Musgrove back. You're hoping your offense can do something they haven't done really all season. Maybe not since April. Go on a run, and then perhaps you can shorten the game, because you do have, when guys return healthy in that bullpen, one of the best bullpens in baseball. Now, Mason Miller is elite. Nationally, pitcher of the month for for 2 months. He has pitched 12 times. The best player in the Padres, their lone all-star, has pitched 12 times since June 1st. And that is a problem for the Padres. They can't get him the ball. Jason Adam is on the injured list, right? And he's not going to be back until later in August. Jeremiah Estrada, also on the injured list. He could return maybe on this next homestand. If they can hang in there and do just enough and gain some ground on the 5 teams who are trailing in the wild card, maybe they can figure it out in time to make a run in August. We'll see.
All right, Marty. I mean, you are definitely Southern California sunshine as far as you're trying to paint this picture. I feel like you painted, you could have said all those exact same things and said, yeah, this is why they're selling. But I'm going back to the very first thing you said, and it's the window. What do the moves look like? Let's say this, right before the break here, this last 2 weeks, the Padres just kind of, they're just malaised, and the Diamondbacks continue to go ahead of them, and the Dodgers are not able to be caught. What does taking advantage of this window look like as far as moves at this trade deadline? Is it because Manny Machado, I don't think he's going to have as bad a year next year, just because I think I'm a player, all that stuff. They're getting a year older. Is that window 2 years? And what moves does that look like? Mason Miller spun for 2 big leaguers that are going to come in and fill all these many holes that you're talking about that needed to be filled.
We don't know what the window looks like, but I just think the window with Mandy and Bogarts, I think this is their last best chance. And guys, one thing that we haven't talked about yet is the Padres ownership. We know that this team was sold for a record, $3.9 billion a couple months ago. I'm sorry. They have not been officially sold. They were vetted by Major League Baseball. The other owners have not yet voted on this sale. There was so much conversation from people in this industry about AJ Preller, about other executives thinking that AJ Preller was going to have money to spend at the deadline because of the new ownership group. Except now we know from what Rod Manfred said at the All-Star break, this sale is not going to be official or approved until after the trade deadline. So the idea that this new ownership was going to go ahead and come in and spend some money, that's not going to happen now, because they're not going to be in place until after the deadline has passed. So I don't know what to expect from them when they get here. It might be a little bit, it's going to be too little too late. John Seidler, the Padres current chairman, says that he will do what's in the best interest of the Padres. At this point, what's the best interest of the Padres? And the one thing that I get to, if you, AJ Pierzynski, and you, Erik Kratz, you guys invested in this Padres team that's been in the playoffs in back-to-back seasons, that had the second highest attendance in all of baseball last season behind the Los Angeles Dodgers. You came in thinking this team was going to be a playoff team, that you had excitement from Padres fans. You're going to draw 3 million plus again. You have a season ticket waiting list for 4 straight years. Oh, but wait a second. The first move you're going to make is go ahead and trade Mason Miller. The first move you're going to go ahead and make is tear this thing down and perhaps start a rebuild process. Oh, and then by the way, and then there's a possible lockout. There are so many different factors, I think, that are hovering over this franchise that it's almost impossible to understand what they should do versus what they're going to do.
But the one common thread, and you deviated me from my actual question. The one common thread is AJ Preller. No, I love it, because is AJ Preller. Could this be the most rogue AJ Preller we've ever seen? Just because he knows it's window. Yes. He knows. I mean, I was in spring training the year when he traded away Kimbrel and he picked up BJ Upton or Melvin, whoever it was at that time, and we got Kemper. Like, there was a lot of, he's not afraid of making moves because the ownership situation isn't totally done. Could he just continue to say, you know what, this might be my last time to really ride a wild horse and continue to push? Yes.
And you brought up a good point, Erik, because one thing that was the biggest topic amongst us, in spring training was the status of AJ Preller's contract, because he was going into the season as a lame duck general manager. Now, he did, towards the end of spring training, signed a deal with the Padres, but we don't know what that deal is. The Padres wouldn't announce the specifics of how many years for AJ Preller. AJ Preller wanted to keep that private. Additional reporting seems to indicate that it's at most a 2-year deal. Are there any guarantees that AJ Preller is going to be the general manager, the president of baseball operations under this new management group? We don't know. There's a ton of questions around AJ Preller's future. If the Padres continue to stumble, if they miss the playoffs, there is no guarantee anywhere that this new ownership group, Kwanzaa Jones, Jose Feliciano, that we know nothing about, we have no indication that AJ Preller is going to be their guy. Maybe they want their own guy, their own man. So again, to answer your question, Erik, yes, AJ Preller could go rogue. He could, absolutely. Why not? What does he have to lose at this point?
I want to see it. I want to see him start trading away like coaches and stuff, because he's like, we got no prospects in the minor leagues. I want to see him trade away. Just do something crazy. Nothing against any of the coaches that they have there, but just him going rogue. That's all I want to see. But I want to ask you something you said, because I don't watch as much Padres as you do, but you said this on your show, that yes, they're losing and that's discouraging, but the manner in which they're losing is discouraging. Yeah. What do you mean by that?
They're not playing competitive baseball. They're not fundamentally sound. They make so many mistakes on the bases, right? They don't have prolonged at bats. I mean, it feels like yesterday, the way they won the game yesterday, it's like hit a home run or that's it. They don't play small ball anymore. And as much as Mike Shildt was criticized last season, for his the power of friendship and playing small ball and bunting, I think it's something the Padres have really gotten away from right now. When they have guys that aren't slugging, I think it's hurting them. They don't have sustained rallies. I mean, you can look at that blowout against the Kansas City Royals as one thing, 19 runs, but this is a team, man, that their situational hitting is poor. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay, that's not fair. That's not a fair criticism, Marty. It's really hard to hit in the big leagues. So just
no, I know, I understand, but just it is, but just the little things. And I don't know. There's so many questions. I'd ask you this, guys: if you are a player on that team, and you're an older player, and you're thinking this is your last best chance, right? To maybe you live in reality. Are you at all surprised that AJ Preller, who's gone through tons of hitting coaches and managers, for this season went with a first-time manager, a rookie manager, and a rookie hitting coach?
No. Am I surprised?
You're not. Yeah, are you surprised by it? And then are you surprised by some of the results that we're seeing?
Because they're friends of Preller, and that's why. If it would have been someone from outside the organization, I would have been more surprised. But Craig
like a Tony Vitello?
Well, who knows? we ain't got enough time to get into that, Marty.
No, I know.
But no, I'm not surprised, because he's had Bob Melvin, he's had Mike Shildt, right? He's had veteran managers, and he's like, you know what? I'll try a buddy of mine, Craig Stammen, who's been in the organization. I don't know that you can blame Craig Stammen, because they can't hit, really, and they seem to constantly have injuries. But am I surprised, to answer your question? Unlike you, Marty, I won't dodge the question. No, I am not. I am not surprised at all.
Wait, dodge a question. I'm sorry. What? Go ahead. Re-ask your question. I will answer it with.
No, you dodged Kratz's question, not mine.
I did. Asked you a question. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm
sorry.
Okay. That's fine. I get it.
That.
By the way, before we let you go, I have to ask you a question, Marty. Who's your favorite Padre to interview?
Right now?
Yeah.
Okay, well, Manny Machado is fascinating, because when he has something to say, I mean, he's not afraid to mince words. I love interviewing Mason Miller. He is so thoughtful. Jackson Merrill is fiery, but Manny Machado is awesome. I love talking to him.
We have a really hard time getting Padres players on here. Mason Miller comes on every once in a while.
He's great.
But it's really hard to get to Padres players. So maybe as my former stalker, you could go out there when next time you're at Petco and ask, hey guys, I work for Foul Territory. They're really not that bad. Can we get some love for Foul Territory? And we don't want to steal them from Friar. You get your guys, you get your guests, but every once in a while it'd be nice to talk a little Padre baseball.
I would recommend Samad Taylor for you, but he is on the injured list with an oblique. He has an oblique injury, so he could be gone for a while. But AJ, give me your top 3 guys you want to talk to, and we'll go ahead and put it out there. By the way, I would like to take this opportunity to recommend that fans go to Foul Territory shop because there is a fantastic Mason Miller All-Star Game T-shirt. You want to make sure you grab that, just in case. Just in case AJ Preller goes rogue and that becomes a fancy collector's item.
Let's see. Top 3. Manny would be 1. I'm sure.
Manny's
I'm
awesome.
sure
Okay,
Manny
let's
would
go,
definitely be 1.
Yeah.
Joe. Well, we had Joe on, didn't we? Have Joe?
Musgrove's
No,
awesome.
Joe's great. Joe's great.
Joe's-
I've never talked to Jackson Merrill.
No,
Merrill's
and,
Merrill.
and I think Xander. I love Xander as a teammate.
Okay.
So I think he would be awesome. But it's like the Holy Grail. Like we have to like figure out like the code. It's like Indiana Jones to try to get a Padres player. I hear they're really focusing on playing.
Oh, they're focusing on playing? Then I would go with Joe Musgrove. Musgrove's great.
He's great.
And
we had him on. He's awesome.
He's great. And also, I know he didn't want to for a while, but now that he is inching closer, we think, right? Just through in Arizona along with Pavetta, that maybe he'll be more receptive to coming on because he told me on our last conversation, 100% he's going to pitch this season. And I think last year he kind of got tired of saying that, hoping that, building up like a false expectation that he could return for the playoffs, even though he knew that wasn't reality. Let's go with Musgrove. Musgrove, Manny, Merrill. I would put Sheets. Holy Sheets. I'd put him on that list.
Oh, I love Gavin. I can text him and get him on. He's
Dude,
awesome.
get Gavin Sheets on. He's fantastic.
You know who else I would really like to talk to and no one's heard from in a long time?
Who?
You, Darvish.
Oh.
He's still a Padre.
Technically,
yes.
is he? I mean,
no, but he's in Japan right now. He was posting pictures. I think he was somewhere in Hokkaido. So I think he's like going around his stomping grounds in Japan. Maybe if you're Darvish, maybe he can find him the next young Japanese superstar. Can we get a Sasaki? Can we get a Murakami? The Padres need a Japanese superstar. Let's go.
Awesome.
Let's do it.
We have a Japanese scout coming on next. He's probably listening to us, so we're gonna find out who that next star is.
Okay, fantastic.
Yes.
Did I dodge your questions, guys? Are we good?
No, you were perfect. We tried to dodge
Marty.
yours, but we couldn't because then you threw a Foul Territory shop.com fire out there. Shout out Sarah Tepper, who has done new logos and with our new players marketing ability. It's pretty awesome. So Marty, thank you. Thank you. Next time I'm in San Diego, I'll make sure I hide from you probably somewhere that you can't find me. And don't forget to check her out on Friar Territory on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. We're going to be joined by White Sox Special Assistant to the GM, David Keller, next. Hey, anytime we get to talk White Sox baseball here on Foul Territory, I'm obviously excited because as the resident White Sox homer, they're in first place and they're kicking ass and they're better than the Cubs. So we are joined now by David Keller, special assistant to this traveling secretary, Eddie Casson. I mean, GM Chris Getz. I mean, I don't know, but whatever that means.
DK, what is exactly your title? Because I know our producer asked, but when I looked it up, there was no way I was going to say that without saying you drive a Dodge Stratus. So what exactly is your title?
My exact title is special assistant to the GM, Chris Getz.
With what? Special privileges to International Scouting Services Department of Culture?
Yeah, so I oversee our international scouting department, which includes pro and international spaces. Um, I assist in the draft process, help out Mike Shirley and his group in the draft, and then help Chris when it comes time to talk about player personnel moves as well. So I get to do a little bit of everything, which is great. The variety is outstanding, and man, just really thankful to be a part of this group and that Chris has assembled, and I think we're on the right track.
All right, DK, you were in high school with me at the same time. You had red hair, and I had whatever color
Yeah.
hair it was, but that's all gone. Can you give us the short 2-minute version of what got you to this spot? Because I honestly didn't even know you were with the White Sox until I read an article about the behind the scenes draft process, and your name popped up, and I texted you. I was like, you're the what to the who to the where? And so can you give us that to say, but pretty much that's showing your credentials, your resume to where you are now, and we'll jump off from there.
Yeah, so first of all, Erik, good to see you again, man. It's been a while. Uh, you know, Played high school. You know that I wasn't that great as a player, but loved the game, loved studying the game, and went to Bucknell University. I will make this as quick as possible. Went to Bucknell University. Playing career did not go the way that I wanted it to. Got into coaching right away. I coached a high school team right out of college, was the head JV coach. Shout out to Lewisburg High School. And as I started to coach those kids along with a real job, I realized and rediscovered a love for the game and started sending resumes and cover letters everywhere. I was fortunate enough to get a job with our hometown team in Philadelphia. Worked as an intern with the Phillies for 2 years. At the end of the second year, they didn't have anything for me. And I went and worked in the Atlantic League for another 2 years, where I got to gain a ton of valuable experience, whether it was negotiating contracts, assembling a roster, dealing with the coaching staff, handling P1 visas, budgets, all of that stuff. And really a platform where I could make mistakes and learn. That eventually springboarded me into a role in player development in the front office with the Arizona Diamondbacks in 2009. Got to work with some incredible people there: AJ Hinch, Tommy Allison, Jerry DePoto, Josh Burns. The list could go on, but a lot of amazing people there. And then I got my first scouting opportunity. The New York Mets hired me to be a professional scout. I was responsible for the independent leagues and the California League. They were gracious enough to let me make mistakes along the way and learn and grow into the job. And 2 years into that experience, the Red Sox called and asked for permission. They brought me on as a pro scout, but also allowed me to do some other things, whether it was international or amateur scouting. Forever indebted to Ben Charrington and some others who really played a pivotal role in my life and allowed me to grow. And at the end of 3 years, after 12, 13, 14 with the Red Sox, I became the pro scouting director in Miami. I was there for 2 educational years. Got fired for the first time. And, I know players know what it's like to be released. That was the first time that I'd really experienced something like that. But another opportunity to grow. And the Mets were kind enough to welcome me back with open arms. Was there for 8 years. Got to do a little bit of everything: amateur draft, international scouting, and then some pro stuff as well. Prior to Chris picking up the phone and asking me if I wanted to join the White Sox and his team.
Whew. Okay, that sounds like my playing career. So something about our high school, Christopher Doc, now Doc Academy. I guess we just have the grinder mentality. Not like people from Dr. Pepper High School where AJ went to. But we're going right now to Chris Getz, and kind of charging you with the international aspect, obviously the pro aspect of scouting too. But how different is that international scouting than the pro scouting? Because I remember talking to you when you were at the Mets and talking about your travel, obviously, all that stuff. But like this process, and then ultimately we'll get to the whole, Murakami, but what's the difference in the pro to the international scouting for you, and which is more invigorating, or do you like better?
Yeah, so I have an appreciation for all three phases, and there are two different veins within the international scouting community. There's the amateur side, which is predominantly young Latin American players, Venezuela, Dominican Republic, Panama, Mexico, the ABC Islands. And then there's the pro aspect where you're focusing on the professional international leagues, whether it's the KBO, the MPB, or the league in Taiwan. So the travel doesn't stop, but the travel is different. In the professional world, you kind of know where you're going. You set it out ahead of time. There might be a couple weeks around the deadline where you're jumping on a plane every day and going to a different city to see certain players. But internationally, it's a little more on demand, and you can schedule trips, but every once in a while a player pops up and I have to get on a plane to Santo Domingo. So there's a little more volatility with that market, but it's exciting. It's a good place to be, and I really enjoy the international market. We watch players. Some are as young as 10 years old. I think the last scouting trip I had down to the DR, they put a 10-year-old on the field, and you start to build history with those players. You get to see them at the earliest stages of their development, understanding that there's a ton of risk that comes with trying to project young players forward into who they're going to be, not just as potentially a professional player, but just as a adolescent, whether it's 17, 18 years old. I think the mental gymnastics and the challenges that come with doing the amateur international space, for me, are really rewarding and fulfilling. In large part because we get to build relationships with these young men as well as they develop and start their baseball journey.
That's great. One of your big signings this offseason, David, was Munetaka Murakami, right?
Yeah,
The White Sox spelled it wrong, so I can say it wrong too, so it's fine. No big deal. But I
I
mean,
wasn't in
listen,
charge of spelling.
I know, neither was I, but it was pretty funny, and I know the clubhouse guys very well. They were mortified, so we don't want to drag them
I'm sure.
into the
Yeah.
mud. But he was not expected to sign with the White Sox. There was other teams that were expected to sign him. And I hate this term, but how did he fall into the White Sox lap? Because that's kind of the narrative out there that, at the end, the White Sox kind of jumped into the deep end of the pool here and brought him in. And if you take away when he was hurt for that while, he'd be right at the top of the leaderboard for home runs. He'd probably be winning Rookie of the Year. How did this come about over in Japan? Traditionally, the White Sox don't jump into the Japan market.
Yeah, so I think you need to look at a couple of things. I think one, good outcomes can come from bad process, and bad outcomes can come from good process. Um, I don't necessarily agree with the narrative that this was us jumping in late, right? When I came on board in September of 24, in talking to Chris, we talked about the importance of having a presence in Asia and how we were going to go about that. And so it started with identifying players that we believed were going to come over from the MPB. Murakami was obviously one. And we talked about what a good process would look like. We hired a full-time scout in Japan, brought him on board to help organize information, to help accommodate trips for myself and others over to Japan. And then we went about the work. And so, last year being my first year with the club, I was the only one that went to Japan. Spent 14 days there. Obviously saw a bunch of key players, not just Murakami, but also Okamoto and some other guys that are likely to come over in the following years. And a big part of that is yes, you want to spend time evaluating the player and the talent, but you also want to use all of the context clues that are available to you. Talk to people who are around them, get an understanding of who they are as a person, what the makeup is like, how do they interact with coaches, how do they interact with staff, teammates, all of the above. And so we went through that whole process, not just with Munetaka, but also with Okamoto and some others. And, you know, filed a report, sent it to Chris, told him, here are the guys that I expect to come over. This is how I value them. And we talked about it. And going into the offseason, as we tried to construct this roster, as Chris and Josh Barfield and others contributed to this, you know, it was something where his name kept coming up. And so we monitored it. And quite frankly, I think all of us expected the value of the contract to exceed what it eventually became. And give Chris a ton of credit here. You know, he kept coming back to Murakami, and we kept talking about it and what it looked like, and what a deal that would look good for us, but also for the player would look like. And, you know, I think at the end of the day, as that market started to come back to where we felt comfortable and where we felt like we could take on the risk of adding somebody with Mooney's ability, that's when we became more proactive. And ultimately, you know, Chris, you know, went to Jerry and was able to get this one to the finish line. And I'm really happy that he did.
What did you see in Murakami when you saw him? What did you see in the sense of the physical baseball skills, and what were you, because you just said the risk of a contract like this on the field, what was the risk that you were afraid of?
Yeah, so I don't think it's a secret, Eric, that, you know, he was playing in Japan. The velocity in Japan's a little bit different than it is at the major league level. And when he faced velocity, there were some concerns that he was not going to be able to handle that. I think that was a widespread thing throughout the league. I think that's part of why the market was a little more tepid than what he expected and than what we expected. But in going over there, I had been there in the past. I'd seen him the last 3 years. A couple of things. One, you know, just to simplify scouting from my perspective, and you know, I don't think this is a big secret. We look at the body, and he had done tremendous work from 2023 to 2024 on his body. You know, he had taken the appropriate steps with a lot of intentionality to making sure that his diet was dialed in, to make sure that his athleticism was at its peak form. And so that jumped out right away. You know, one, that he had the discipline and the regimen and the people around him to help him get that right. It had to stand out. And then you watch him on the baseball field, right? And he moves around, and he's far more athletic than I think people give him credit for. He runs the bases incredibly well. He's very instinctual as a player. And so you look at the athlete part of it and you go, yeah, you know what? He's a sneaky good athlete for a man his size. And then you get into the baseball part, and you know, for me, and I'm sure for a lot of others, we focus on the hit tool. Doesn't change from high school to the big leagues, really. If you can hit, there's generally going to be a spot for you. And you know, he's a guy who consistently put together quality at bats. He knew the strike zone, and the power stands out significantly. It's 80 raw power. The fact that he has done this much damage in limited time so far this year, participated in the home run derby, I think speaks to how much power he has. And then we have to get into the defense. You know, he was playing third base in Japan. Felt like that was going to be something that would have to improve when he came over, and the first base might be a better fit for him long term. And so you put all those things together, and now you're really forming a vision of what the player could be, and selling that vision to Chris, to ownership, and trying to understand, you know, where the pitfalls might be if it goes wrong, what could get him, and then also, you know, turning that over to Ryan Fuller in our hitting department, and going, hey, I think there are a couple of adjustments that can be made here. And if we are successful in doing so, it could be special, and give Ryan a ton of credit. He spent a lot of time watching film on Mune, and felt like he embodied a couple of things that we really like and value as an organization, but also saw the same opportunities for him to improve offensively and really contribute at a high level.
Hi, Dave. So you've interviewed, and I know the extensive process in Japan, like it means a lot to Japanese players to like see that you're invested in them. There's some, the Dodgers talked about it with Yamamoto, and this class with Murakami, Imai, and Okamoto. What's Murakami's personality? Because we see the baseball side of it, but when I'm watching White Sox games or when I'm watching interviews, it seems like his personality is like way less boring than the other guys. Am I spot on with that?
You're spot on. He's a character, right? He might not speak English in the same way that you and I do, but he's very quick-witted. He's sharp. He's funny. He's a tremendous teammate, and I think that came through in everybody that we talked to during my trip in Japan, people that I talked to after I came back. That's the one thing that came through. He cares about his teammates and he cares about winning. And, you put all of those things together and you think, as Chris and I talked about it, this is a guy that was a superstar in Japan. He knew what the limelight was like. And you insert him into a clubhouse with guys around him his same age who are trying to find their footing at the major league level and maybe not used to the same type of attention and some would call it pressure. And he's already done that. He's already achieved that and passed with flying colors. And so I think those things, you boil it down and you're like, wow, this could be a really good fit for us.
All right. Who's next then? Who's the next Japanese star? You said you've watched a few. You're not giving anybody like, oh, it's a secret, this player's. Who's the next Japanese star that now the White Sox have made a splash? I mean, Tadahito Iguchi was AJ's teammate back in the day, but this splash puts Chicago on the map. They're no Dodgers yet, but who's the next star that's there that you're like, everybody needs to see this guy?
Yeah, no, I think there are a couple, right? We'll address that as it comes. I think, there are no secrets as to who is coming over, but don't want to tip our hand quite yet as to who we're targeting and who we would try and bring to the south side of Chicago just yet.
Okay, that's fair. Well, the last one I got is the fact that I'm surprised that I'm not employed by the White Sox. AJ got fired from the White Sox, but I'm not employed because 3 of my ex-teammates, Dave Keller, Josh Barfield, and Chris Getz, are all just the jefes in the White Sox organization. So I think I'm not hired because I work with AJ, but I'm okay with that because I like working with AJ.
Well, hey, Eric, don't worry. I will make sure that both of those guys know that you are the head coach of a state champion baseball team back in Pennsylvania. So I'll let them know.
AJ knows too. I bring out my medal. Right, AJ?
Yeah, I have
Wait,
two,
you get a medal too?
I have 2. We're even.
Coaches get a medal.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, congratulations, Kratz. We've hit on this, and yeah, he won it, and it was awesome. His son had a big game, and it was pretty cool to see that happen. And I saw JJ Lale this week, David. So him and Frank Thomas were having a flex off in the stands. It was pretty funny. They were seeing who could wear a tighter shirt. So make sure when you see JJ, you pass that he lost the flex off from me. So I appreciate it.
I would anticipate a flex off between him and Frank would not end well for JJ.
All right. Well, David, thank you very much. For me, from all the White Sox fans out there, thank you. Good luck finding the next White Sox star. We'll be keeping on the eye on the White Sox, not only in the future, but definitely for this year, since they are in first place and they are better than the Cubs on my power ranking. So let's take a turn, time out, a little quick turnaround, and we'll get into BetMGM. Thanks, David.
All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.
All right, Monday's locks. Only Pap won. Kevin Pillar went big, lost.
Kind of big.
He went big with a lot of bets and not for a lot of money. So
that's
I don't
not
know how that
AJ
makes
style.
sense. Yeah, but I always make sure I'm in the positives. I never go negative.
That's what I mean. That's not AJ style. Like you definitely get us some plus money. I like the plus money.
Yeah, and then Todd, the Dodgers lost to the Phillies. Pap won. So money bag scratch, you're still crushing it. You're trying to catch Todd, who doesn't bet as often, but he bets bigger. Kevin's down a little bit. Pap's up. I'm down a little bit, but we still got a long, long ways to go. We got 60 games or so to go, so we'll be just fine. People out there listening and watching. What's your lock of the day today, Kratzy?
All right. Well, I'm going to go just because my lock got actually swayed because I had Ranger going, and now I lost my Ranger opportunity because he's not going, so I had to change it. So this isn't the second step on the ladder challenge. This is just an individual bet. We won our last ladder challenge the other day, so we're still just doing a regular bet here, and I'm going Kumar Rocker, not John Rocker, Kumar Rocker with +4 strikeouts and Luis Castillo with +5 strikeouts. It's coming out at -133, and I'm going to put 50 on it, and we're going to keep just slowly working up the board.
Okay. I like it. Kumar Rocker against the White Sox, though. That's the only problem I see there. Sorry. He might get whacked around like Jacob deGrom did last night. So you never know. I'm going strikeout prop bet also. I'm going Will Warren 6+, and I'm going Chase Burns 6+ strikeouts. Pretty easy, pretty simple. That gets me to +151. We're looking for strikeouts tonight, people. If you want to join, Kratz has been hotter than a firecracker lately. So if you want to follow someone, tail Kratz, and you can always fade me. I don't really care, but I think I like my chances. So that's it. That's our locks of the day today. Whether you're predicted a walk-off home run or a game-saving strikeout, nothing feels quite like calling those big plays before they happen. Grab this Parlay Boost token, build your parlay, and go for another memorable moment. Activate your Parlay Boost token on any MLB parlay, and you'll receive a bigger payout if your parlay wins. Gambling problem or concern? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. And let's slap hands here on FT. All right, slap hands. Here we go. Interesting thing here. Umpires take a lot of heat. We haven't done an ump show in a while. I think ABS has kind of fixed that, although some umpires are worse than others, Kratzy, as we know. But here we go. Age has definitely become a factor in who is good and who is not good as an umpire. There was recently a big study done, and under the age of 40, entering Monday, have been overturned 50.1% of the time. And if you're over 40, it was up to 54% of the time. And then if you go over 50, it's 57.2% of the time. And if you're over 55, it's 58.2% of the time. And if you're Bill Miller, Caleb Ferguson wants you to get on Ozempic. But we won't talk about that.
That might be for another time, another show. But AJ, what do you always say? Father Time catches up to everybody. And this is, if you would see those percentages, and I didn't break down the numbers, it's like 4%, 7%, 9% in each of those ages. If you do that as a player, if your ability, your numbers go down those percentages, you know what happens, AJ? You go home. You get sent home. You don't have a job anymore. So is it fair? I don't know where I stand on this. I don't think umpires should get fired, but I think they should be held accountable. So where that is, I don't know, because all of a sudden they get everybody does a little bit better when there's some accountability, but they're not accountable. They're not held accountable. And these numbers show, you know what? They're missing a few more the older they get. Anybody knows maybe the game is a little too fast for a certain age eye. Well, you know what? If you want to keep playing as a player, you got to keep up because it's a young man's game, and the velocities that these balls are being thrown at as an umpire, if you don't keep up, you're just not going to do as well. I think the ABS will keep these guys accountable, and I think you'll eventually see guys keep up or they'll get out.
Well, that's why there's so many guys leaving at the end of the year, the buyouts, right? It's all veteran guys that are out after this year. I think, what do you see, 7 guys, I think, and they're all older guys,
Over
not the younger
59.
guys. Yeah, so they're all guys that have been around since I was around. A lot of those guys, they played in the minor leagues. So I think that, yeah, it happens. And you know what? It's not the worst thing in the world. And by the way, the lowest performing umpire with at least 900 pitches called this year is 59-year-old Andy Fletcher, who's a really nice guy. I really like Andy. I've known Andy for a long time. Again, had him in the minor leagues. He's been overturned on 38 of the 54 called pitches, or 70.4%, which is a high number. But I also, you know what's funny? He has big misses, though. But at 54 called 900 pitches, 54, that doesn't seem like a large number of challenges. So maybe Andy every once in a while just gets caught with ADHD and he's looking up in the stands and there's a pitch goes by and he's like, strike! And it was a pitch out. I don't know, but it doesn't seem like a very high number, only 54. And we're into almost August.
Numbers do for the front office what they want them to do. They talk about baseball in generalities. These numbers talk about umpires in generalities, and the fact that you're over a certain age, you're getting more of your calls incorrect than people who are 5 years younger, 10 years younger. It's just the reality of it. This is why teams don't give long-term contracts to older players. This is why David Stearns doesn't want to give a pitcher over 3 years because he is afraid that he'll break down. He's afraid he'll get old. Whatever it is, these numbers are used against players. Now we see them for umpires too.
True. Listen, I had bad umpires that were young, bad umpires that were old. That doesn't really matter. Just sometimes umpires have bad days. I mean, we've seen, guys tap their hat, and it doesn't matter if certain umpires are young and they still get the hat tap more than others. So I don't know. I mean,
but you said about Andy Fletcher. You liked Andy Fletcher. That was how we gauged an umpire. Laz Diaz consistently, and he's getting a buyout after this year. Consistently was one of the worst umpires. I loved Laz. Like, he rubbed some people the wrong way. I had a great time with Laz. Or, there's tons of those guys. And just because they were bad, it didn't mean you felt like as a player they were not good umpires. It was how they interacted with you. And I think that's why CB gets such a bad rep. I think that's why Angel got such a bad rep. I think that's why Joe got a bad rep, because how he interacted with guys dictated if they liked him or not.
Yeah. Listen, I don't know. I kind of, whatever. I don't know. Umpires are nice, umpires, and it's changed with the ABS. So I think it's a little bit different now than it used to be. But I also want to, before we leave, there's a couple things I want to hit on. First of all, Kratzy, did you see the Rockies, Kyle Freeland, where the guy touched the dirt on the mound and Kyle Freeland kind of screamed at him? Listen.
Shapiro?
Yeah, I know that people, I'm not even going to try and pronounce his name because I don't have a pronunciation guide in front of me, but I mean, he barely touched the mound. This wasn't where a guy ran directly over the mound or ran over the rubber. He barely touched the dirt. I don't know. I thought it was blown out of proportion, but hey, Kyle Freeland, you do you, buddy.
I mean, it's the veteran. You know what? He thought he disrespected it. I'd never really understood the whole disrespecting touching the mound, but I think it was 1 foot on the mound, 1 foot on the dirt. It was right down towards the grass. I don't know. I mean, Alexis Rios one time ran all the way to third on a fly ball and ran across the mound to get back to first base. So rookie ball mistakes. I don't know if Shapiro was trying to disrespect Kyle Freeland at all. It felt like a time. And then it was more barking, one dog barks, another dog barks. What'd you say? What? Somebody hold me back. Now I'm mad, kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't know. It is what it is. It wasn't a big deal. I just thought it was kind of funny that Kyle Freeland, you defend your turf, okay? That's all I'm going to say. You can defend your turf if you want to, and that's fine. But, I mean, I was a catcher, And I had to run across the mound to get to the rosin bag, and my pitcher never yelled at me. So I don't know why when you're a hitter that you can't do it. But whatever. Anyways, just a whole different story. Tonight, let's take a little look at tonight's games. Obviously, the marquee game is Zach Wheeler and Justin Wrobleski. 2 All-Stars. I mean, only one All-Star. That's right. I forgot. Zach Wheeler didn't make it, even though he's like the best pitcher in the National League. I mean, Chase Burns just signed a new contract. He's pitching tonight at Seattle. Fromber's pitching tonight. Walker Buehler needs to try to figure things out for the Padres. Brewers are hosting the Mets. There's a lot of good games tonight, Kratzy, that have big implications not only for tonight but in the pennant race.
I think the first one you said, the Dodgers and Phillies. I think it's so funny that obviously we talked about the whole Wheeler thing. I'm not saying we need to rehash that. But when he said no, Justin Wrobleski was the one that they picked, who I thought should have been an all-star too. But, there's that line of snubs. I think it's crazy that it's worked out that way. And I think Toronto and the Rays, this series, Toronto's at a make or break. We've talked most of the show about trade deadline. Teams that are playing bad, what they have to do. Sorry, the Blue Jays, you have to figure it out against a team that's also trying to figure it out after getting swept. This is why people say the American League East, National League East are the toughest divisions, because you don't get time off. You don't get an opportunity to be 8 games under 500 and say, well, you know what, we'll play some crappy AL Central, NL Central teams. No, you got to get going. And the Blue Jays now have to figure it out against the Rays, who also have to try to figure out how to hold the Yankees off. So I think it's a great series, especially, just these teams getting after it.
Yeah. Well, again, the Blue Jays lined up their pitching rotation to face the Rays, right? It was Dylan Cease last night. Now it's Kevin Gausman tonight. They were in first place. They had the All-Star break to kind of finagle it and they lost the first game with the guy who started the All-Star game in Dylan Cease. So now can Kevin Gausman, who's kind of struggled lately, pick them up and get them back, or at least where they think they're back into this race.
And who's pitching for the Rays? I know it says on the list, it says Nick Martinez, but I think Nick Martinez pitched last night. So I wanted to see who was pitching for the Rays. Oh, I mean, they got to face another All-Star and Drew Rasmussen. So Rasmussen, I'm sorry. I always say Rasmussen. I played with a guy, got traded with a guy that was Rasmussen, and I always screw his name up. Sorry, Drew. Such a nice, happy guy. But it's a tough draw. This is what I'm talking about. The Blue Jays can't just slowly figure it out. They got to get it going tonight. Gausman can't have a 4.5+ ERA. He has to be the guy that took them to where they were, because the Blue Jays don't have MVP caliber George Springer. They don't have MVP caliber Vladimir Guerrero. I mean, they have those players, but they're not playing to that level. Dalton Varsho last year was playing to a ridiculous level when he was healthy. And you say, what's wrong with the Jays? A lot of things are wrong with the Jays. They're not playing as well as they did last year.
True. And another interesting one is Bubba Chandler in all his walks is pitching in Yankee Stadium against Elmer Rodriguez. He's if the Pirates are actually going to be for real, Bubba's got to figure it out. 3-8 with almost a 5 ERA is not what we expected out of Bubba Chandler.
Did you ever catch a young pitcher who walked a ton of guys and stayed in the big leagues this long?
It's usually it was quick out, but Bubba Chandler's been hyped, and he's been hyped, and he's not. Oh, never mind. We don't have to worry about it because that game already got rained out, so we don't even have to worry about it. We don't have to worry about will Bubba Chandler be able to walk anyone tonight. So breaking news, if you made a bet on the Yankees and the Pirates, or if you were going to that game, you can stay home because that game has been rained out. And apparently there's also a tornado warning in New Jersey. So New Jersey sounds like an awesome place to live. Not?
Well, I mean, that's where I'm at right now. So I'm pretty sure I'm looking outside, and I got my bathing suit on. So I'm going to be going out to the beach soon. So I'm not sure what part of New Jersey. Stay out of that part. But seriously, AJ, I mean, maybe we could talk about this another time, but you were with the White Sox. I felt like in the minor leagues playing against the White Sox, they had a ton of guys who couldn't throw strikes that would get called up to the big leagues. And the next time we played them in AAA, they were back down there real quick. they had some really, really good arms, but I felt like when we came up through the minor leagues, if you didn't throw strikes when you got to the big leagues, you were out quick. And Bubba Chandler, you're looking down his True Media page, and it's like 4, 4, 3, 1, 5, 4, 6, 4, 3, like walks per outing. Like, I've never seen a situation where guys walk a lot, but how do you deal with that when you're talking about a young guy? How would you deal with it? Like, hey, bro, throw more strikes.
You got to find a pitch you can throw over the plate. That's it. You got to use it and try to get them to learn the other ones. But that's a conversation for another day, because apparently there's a twister warning. And we're going to see, what was her name? Helen Hunt, and I don't know who the other guy in the original twister was when they were chasing tornadoes. But maybe that's what Mark Wiener will be doing today with Claudia, producer lady in New Jersey. Also, before I go, I wasn't here yesterday. I just want to say congratulations to Spain for winning the World Cup. It was a pretty epic game. How in the holy hell Argentina didn't have a shot on goal until about 2 minutes left in the game is absolutely ridiculous with the best player of all time. They couldn't even get the ball past midfield. It was crazy. But congratulations to Spain. My daughter's in Spain. I'm doing study abroad, so she got to party like a rock star. She got to live it up. So congratulations, Spain. And Lamil Yamin. How do you say Lamil Yamin? Whatever.
Lamil Yamin.
Yeah, Lamil Yamin. All the kids, I watched it with all the kids at USA Baseball. They were all yelling his name when they won. So he's a pretty big star for those 18, 19, 17, 18-year-old kids. So congratulations, Spain. We'll see everyone in Foul Territory tomorrow. It'll be Kratz and I, right? You and me again, Kratzy. And also, if you want to hear about all the kids, I don't know what's coming up on Hot Sheet next with Baseball America, but maybe they'll talk USA Baseball and how great of a third base coach I was. See you guys tomorrow.